What's up, everyone? Welcome to a special episode of Scoop's podcast. I'm here with Deionte. Say what's up, Deionte.
What's going on, Scoop?
Uh, so it has been a year since Kobe's passing, and I am doing day by day. I'm kind of doing a little Kobe week for Scoop's podcast. I'm doing an interview and posting it each day from now until Sunday. Um, and I've talked to your boy Antoine, talked to a lot of people. There's been some recurring themes that I'm sure will come up in our interview from other interviews that I've done. But it's all centered around Kobe, centered around losing what really was a global icon, someone that transcended the sport that he played. Um, and I've gotten perspectives of people that have been Laker fans for decades. I've gotten the perspective of a Celtic fan, and you're a Clipper fan. So you're a fan of the team that he was kind of their rival. It was their hometown rival. But I know you're someone that also had great respect for Kobe Bryant throughout his career, and what you were just as hit by his passing as anyone else. So the first thing I want to open the floor to you. Say what you want about Kobe and about his passing, and I also want to ask, what Kobe Bryant meant to you.
Oh man, I think personally, I started playing basketball at like a young age, so probably like 6 years old. So you could say maybe like first grade, and it's like the 2006. You feel me? Living in Los Angeles, like first thing you think of is Kobe Bryant when it comes to basketball. Like of course, being a a Clippers fan, excuse me. Being a Clippers fan, it's like, your team isn't as nationally televised as the Lakers, and your team is always getting put down in down in the dirt. So being from LA, man, that's how you see it's Kobe. You feel me? It's purple and gold everywhere. So, just the thought of somebody being so like powerful and like symbolizing basically him being a symbol of like just like greatness, the fact of him just not being with us anymore, like on that tragic day a year ago, it was real tough to handle. But he, like I said, he just symbolized greatness to me.
As for many people, he symbolized greatness. What do you remember about the day that he died, a year ago today?
Man, I honestly, and it sounds so cliche, I can honestly remember like it was yesterday. I mean, it was like I believe it was like a Saturday, if I'm not mistaken. And I was just sitting in my room. I was in my bed. I was just chilling. And then, all of a sudden, I'm on my phone, I'm on Instagram, and I'm just scrolling, and I see something from like a TMZ report, like Kobe died. And I'm like, nah, like, come on, chill out with all that. Like, that's not funny. So I'm just, I continue to scroll, and like, I see it again, and I see it again. And then I get a phone call from my sister while she was at work. And my sister, she used to play basketball when she was younger, but like, she's not somebody that actively follows the NBA. But she's at work and she gets a phone call and she's like, how you doing? And I'm like, I'm fine. And I'm like, what's up with the random phone call? And she's like, Kobe just passed. And I'm like, nah, I'm like, I really wish people stop saying that because I just saw like three more posts on Instagram. And she's like, no, like really, he was in a helicopter crash. So I'm like, okay. So I turn on my TV and I go to like, of course, the local, news stations, Channel 7, Channel 2, Channel 11, Channel 5, trying to find these things. And I can't find anything. I'm like, man, like this is just media, making something that's not, funny. They're just putting it out there. And then I just left my TV on and about 10 minutes passed. And then the article just started popping up on my television. And it was real traumatic to see. Like it was starting to be confirmation that it was Kobe's helicopter on their way to the Mamba Academy. And that hurt. It was hurting. I literally for the first time like just froze. Like I had no words. I had no emotion. I had no thought. I had nothing. I was just frozen in solid time, just looking at the words on the screen. Kobe Bryant has passed. It was terrible.
Yeah. Yeah, I was the same way. It kind of felt like the entire world just stopped for that day. Everyone just stopped what they were doing and were in disbelief and shock and just, everyone just stopped and kind of hung their head down, and it was a tough day for sure. Um, on a bit of a lighter note, this is going to be a really hard question to answer because everyone has different ones, everyone has multiple ones. But what is your favorite Kobe Bryant moment? The one that I've heard the most of in talking to people has been his final game where he had 60 points, and then of course his 81-point game. But there are so many Kobe Bryant moments. Which one is your favorite?
No, there's so many great ones. If I gotta think off the top of my head, my favorite Kobe moment, I think it'd have to be, you know what? Honestly, I think it'd have to be his last All Star game. That I think that really sits high with me back in 2016. Because like it was just the wholesomeness of him just accepting the fact that his career was done. Like, but he was fine with it. Like,
Yeah,
the fact of him being in such good of terms that it was like, bro, I'm passing the game on to all these younger dudes who are just amazing as well. Like Bron, Katie, Steph, and just the fact that how like we look at Bron as an all-time great, KD best scorer to ever play, Curry best shooter to ever play, and they look up to him, and we look up to them. So it's just like I don't know. It's just like you can look at them as like looking. You can look at them as like they're us looking up to somebody that they watched, hoop, and idolized. And it was just
yeah.
like I don't know, just seeing greats idolize another great just showed how much of an idol he was to me, and I that was just real special
Yeah, that was a good pick. That was a good moment to pick. And I think
for sure.
what makes it even more special, like you were saying, that he was okay with walking away from everything, and that you don't really see that a lot. You see a lot of people really clinging on to the end of their careers and wanting to keep going one more year. But I think what it was he left it all on the court,
Definitely,
there was nothing more that he could give. He literally gave everything to the game, everything to his career,
definitely,
and a resume and accolades that could fill up, a page and then some. Like just an amazing career. And when he realized in himself that it was time, he knew, I have no regrets. I did
yeah, for
everything that I
sure.
could.
Yeah,
And that's inspiring to other people. If you want that feeling of whatever you're doing at the end of it, to really have that feeling of, what, I'm happy with it being over, then you got to leave everything out there.
yeah,
Because
no, for sure.
that's a lot of people's fears in the stuff that they do, whether it's the end of life, the end of their career, whatever it is. There's regrets and there's this and there's that. But if you leave everything out there, you won't have any, and you can accept, it'll be easier to accept the end of whatever it is that you're doing.
Definitely. I mean, and I also feel like it's hard for people and I personally think it's hard for people like to accept the fact that things are over, like certain stages of their lives are over. Like, I mean, this is not as significant, of course, as playing in the NBA, but like when you are gonna culminate from a school or like graduate from somewhere, like it's kind of hard because you start thinking about all the good memories you had and some of the friends that you're not gonna be around and all the relationships you built. But it's just like just looking at him, knowing that he played in the league longer than he didn't play in the league. Like he was in the league longer than he was alive prior to even being in the league. Like he came in the league at 17, played 20 years. Like he grew up in the league. And so it was just to know that he was fine with just putting all that behind and really starting his life after basketball it was so amazing to see.
Yeah, definitely.
Man.
Um, if you had to describe Kobe to a non-basketball fan or non-Kobe fan, someone that really doesn't know a lot about Kobe, whether maybe a kid or just someone that's just getting into the sport, how would you describe Kobe to them?
That's tough. That's tough because you can be so cliche as just being like, oh, the greatest to ever do it, or just basically by saying somebody who put in the time. But if I had to describe Kobe to somebody who didn't know him, I'd ask them to think of whatever it was that they love to do, whatever it is that they found uh, that was like their passion, whether it's just like a little kid and he loves to go outside and play. I'd say, well, Kobe played basketball. That was his passion. He loved to play, he loved to practice, and he loved to work hard to be the best at what he was doing. His passion drove him to be one of the greatest players to ever play the game. And he outworked, honestly, almost anybody you put next to him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I feel like it's just the easiest way to describe him is the hardest worker in the room.
Yeah.
Whatever room he's in, he's the hardest worker in that room, whatever he's doing.
Yeah.
And then you look at his, not just his basketball accolades, but his life accolades, everything that he did. And that speaks for it, that he worked harder than anyone.
Yeah, definitely.
So I'm going to give you two kind of like scenario based questions and answer them however you want to. The first being
Sure.
another, what I think is really hard question. Which Kobe are you taking, number 8 or number 24?
I think I got to take 24, basically just because, excuse me, I think when it comes to the game of basketball, like 8 was amazing. Don't get me wrong. But I think 24 like really understood the game. Like if it comes to like IQ and when it comes to like knowing everything that's going on the floor, like being the most advanced player on the floor, not just athletically, but like skill set and mindset wise, I'd have to go with 24, like the Mamba, like that. The Mamba was 24.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The majority of people chose 24, and the only person to say number 8 was your boy Antoine.
I'm not surprised by that.
I wasn't mad at the pick, but I'm also not surprised that he's the only one of an entire group of people to say the opposite answer.
Yeah, not surprised.
And my last question might strike you a little differently being a Clipper fan than it would strike other people. What would you rather have seen more, Kobe play LeBron in the NBA Finals, or for the Chris Paul trade to go through and to see Kobe play with Chris Paul on that team?
I think I'd easily have wanted to see. Okay, not easily.
It's not easy, huh?
But that's tough. That's really tough. I don't know, man. Like, I enjoyed the Lakers Celtics, like that finals rivalry, because it really like it was historic. Like it stood for something. But I've always felt like Kobe really did get the end of the stick when it came to like that trade in particular, because like he just he was on a little bit of decline. Like it was the later years of his career, and he definitely just wanted somebody to help out with the load that he had to carry, because even Kobe 2011, 2012, after the 5th championship, he was still trying to carry a little bit of a depleted Laker team. So I always felt bad for him that he didn't get that help that he needed. So I honestly think I'd have to go with Kobe and CP3 teaming up.
Nice. I was not expecting that as a Clipper fan and someone that probably holds on to Chris Paul and is like mine.
Oh, dearly, dearly. Chris Paul had a dearly, but again, I just didn't feel like it was fair for Kobe at the end of the day.
The majority of people, whether I don't know if you'd be surprised by it or not, but the majority of people chose Kobe and LeBron in the finals. And
I wouldn't be too surprised by that.
As a Laker fan, I choose the Chris Paul trade. As a basketball fan, I choose Kobe and LeBron. I mean, even especially after now that he's not here, now that he passed, I feel like that would just be such an iconic finals. It'd be a lot of fun to watch. Two ultra competitors and also close friends playing against each other in the finals. Whoever won, it would have been a lot of fun to watch. And I feel like it's one of those series that it'd be amazing in the moment. you'd kind of move on from it and forget it a little. But then as the years go by, that series just becomes like more iconic, more iconic, more iconic, you know?
But yeah, but I go by that to saying this though, and it's kind of like a little wrap up inside of the question. If the Lakers get Chris Paul, they go to the finals, and Miami over there with the Heatles, LeBron's already there, so they meet up eventually.
Yeah. Yeah.
Think about
Probably.
it. Yeah.
All right, Deionte, do you have any final thoughts that you want to share about Kobe?
No, man, it's just idol. The only thoughts I have when it comes to him is idol, and personally, cannot watch their basketball anymore without shedding a few tears.
Oh
Like
yeah.
it's a tough watch now.
Yeah, it was impactful before he passed, and after he
Exactly.
passed, it's tough. I know basketball or Kobe fans out there that can't even watch it. Like it's too much for them, and I understand
Yeah.
that feeling completely.
Yeah. No. Definitely.
But yeah, thank you for joining me. Thank you for taking the time out and talking to me about Kobe.
No. Thank you for having me, man.
Yeah, man.